What's up, guys? I'm Brian Kelly with Kelly Family Fitness. Today is my Sunday workout. Bringing it to you to follow along if you like. It's going to have a combination of mobility, some calisthenics, some straight up body weight strength work, and a little bit of weights also. So combination workout. First things up, I'm going to warm up my wrists. That's very important with calisthenics. I'm going to do wrist extension with the plates. Just kneeling on the bench here. Forearms supported. Wrists having room to get full flexion. Extending up and back down. These are just fives. We're going to do 10 reps. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. With that, little stretch. Starting out on knees. Fingers face the knees. Rock back, lift the palms. 10 reps. This will stretch out the flexors of the forearm. You'll find that as you get these muscles to stretch out a little bit, especially if you're somebody that struggles with fully straightening their arm out. Some of my guys that are like almost overly developed in the biceps will not be able to fully straighten their arm. You'll notice a real positive impact on your shoulders as you start stretching your forearms and biceps together. So that little kneeling flexor stretch is wonderful. I'm going to add to this just basically an active hang, a scapular depression. So slightly piked forward, eyes on the horizon line, raising head up and down for a set of 10, trying not to use my elbows. Do it for 3 rounds. Okay, a little more mobility work. This is considered a banded shoulder dislocate. Light to moderate tension. Straight elbows. You're thinking about pushing the band away from you the entire time. So I'm going to push it away and rotate it over my head. As I get toward the ceiling, I'm still trying to push it away. I'm pushing it toward the ceiling. Pushing it toward the back of the room, and then all the way back down. My motion should be fluid, but it should be conscientious, where I'm really trying to push, elevate my shoulders, and I'm trying to pinch my shoulders as the weight gets, or the band gets back over my head. 10 reps. I'm going to superset this with a scapular push-up. My goal is to take somewhat of a hollow body approach to it. Try to keep my elbows straight, let my shoulders come together, push the ground away. I'm going to do these for sets of 10 also. 3 sets. Now I'm going to start loading my wrists and getting them ready for a little bit more action too. So these are considered a planche lean, all right? We're going to do them right here at this cable crossover, so you can kind of see what's going on. My goal on these is to hold straight arms and try to push my head out in front of my hands further and further each set. I'll do a 10 count hold on each set. They're 1 rep each. And gradually, I'm trying to move my hands back away from where I'm pressing my head to so that I can get more and more distance on my motion. Fingers are slightly turned out to the side. Shoulders are spread apart. Abs are in hollow position. Rock forward and hold. And there's set 1. You could do these for a lot more reps. I like them just 1 at a time, trying to make progress on each one. So my next set, I'll rest here about 30 to 60 seconds. Next set's going to back up. I'm going to do this 3, 4, or 5 sets until that I can't hit my target from further back. So I'm trying to just keep making progress until I find where I almost fail. Sometimes it helps to have a prop to measure distance. So, full protraction of the shoulder, abs tight, rock and hold. Trying to keep my elbows real straight. Rest, roll out my wrist. If you've never done these, they're quite challenging, especially if you're tight in your forearm flexors, and a lot of people are. You know, you figure the way you hold your phone, the way you type, holding a mouse pad, a lot of people are tight right here, kind of weak on their extensors, and they form an agonist and antagonist relationship such that it's really hard for people to get into wrist extension. Set 3, we're going to try to go back just a little bit more. I'm about an inch further now. And that one got pretty challenging. Probably have 1 more set left in me. Let me give it a little bit of rest. And try 1 more. A lot of people have issues doing push-ups. Either they get wrist pain just from the compression, or they can get pain up their chain. You have to understand that push-ups pretty much put you at a 90-degree angle. Well, if your natural wrist flexion only gets 45, and then you put all your body weight on 90, this wrist joint needs to figure out a way to compensate. And a lot of times it'll compensate by putting extra demand on the elbow or the shoulder. So one way you can really help your life in push-up world is to strengthen the extensors of your forearm and to really stretch out these flexors. It's my last set. I'm going to try really hard to hit this from a little bit further back, but it's going to be pretty difficult because I'm getting near my end range of motion here. So I'm about 2.5 inches away from my band. My band is about probably 16, 17, 18 inches from the machine. So this is getting to be about my limit on this exercise. Again, full protraction, abs in, slightly hollowed, elbows straight, rock. There it is. Probably not quite 10 seconds, but about all I could muster without my face doing a plant on the ground. So, big fun. Building on the planche lean, on this particular exercise I'm going to do it on parallettes. I tend to like my parallettes to be slightly turned out so that it encourages my hand kind of turn out as well, which does help, kind of helps me open my elbows up to the front of my body. The idea is still be in full protraction, abs are still in. This will be a little less isometric hold, so what I'm going to try to do is elevate my feet on the ball with my abs real tight, and then I'll rock out to the planche lean position, kind of pushing the range of motion, and then rock back out of it. We're going to do it for repetition now. Goal here is to do sets of 5. That needed a little adjustment on the ball. I started out with my feet a little too far over the top of the ball and didn't have room to roll forward. So by making that little adjustment, putting it more towards the bottom of my shins, it gave me more room to roll forward. It probably gave me a hair more stability too. Now, these are motions that I struggle with. You may make them easy, but this is just open book training here. I'm just showing you some of the things that I like to work on. So, set 2, 5 more. Little rest. It's interesting working on straight arm strength. So much of what you learn to do in the gym involves moving weight, at least with your upper body, by bending your elbows. And when you're trying to do an exercise with just straight arms, so in other words, your biceps are lengthened all the way out, and they can't help your shoulder, which normally they would on a lot of motions. It's amazing how much weaker and harder they are. If you've never done drills for straight arm strength, they're wonderful. You just got to start out really easy, slow progressions, and be kind of careful with them. Reps down, lighter weight. Set 3. This next one's going to complement what you would consider a planche exercise. And while I can't do the planche, it's a dream someday, so I still kind of work on them. The idea is to basically do a shoulder stand on two elevated boxes or benches. I've even seen this done on like couches using the armrests. I'm going to shoulder stand with my feet up against the wall. My arms are going to be straight behind me, hopefully straight. As my legs drop away from the wall, my forearms and biceps and shoulders have to take on more and more weight. So the resistance gets heavier the lower I get. And while this will not seem impressive, this might be the hardest thing I do all day. So try them out, but be really careful with them. It's a great way to get hurt if you get overzealous with them. I've got my benches kind of angled in a little bit. And at the top of the benches, they're just a little bit wider than the width of my head. So I can get majority of my shoulder on the bench and then most of my arm, hopefully, on the bench. Palms down. Stand. Tight core. Down and hold. I normally get about 10-second holds in. If I can go longer, I will. I will also do these banded with something above me to kind of deload my legs, make it a little bit easier on me sometimes. Really depends on where I'm at in my training. I'm going to do 3 sets. Ooh. Those just get harder and harder. All the pressure is right here, right where the bicep meets the forearm. And you got to be really careful not to get too much into these distal tendons. It's a motion that's probably low reward and higher risk. I still really like it. I think it's an important part of calisthenics to learn how to hold yourself in different planes of motion with different muscles. But again, this one's really hard, especially for me. This last one I'm going to bring down into a little bit of a straddle. It should make it a hair easier. I don't necessarily think it's going to get me down any further, but as I'm getting tired, I'm just going to try to scale it so that I can still get a good set and a good active work set in. Whoa. Woo! Those are tough. Okay, along with the planche, I'm going to work on my lever on the rings. I'll take you over and show you how I do it. Now this would be considered front lever. You may have seen on our channel, my son is an 8-year-old gymnast and can do the back lever and even has a full tutorial on our YouTube channel if you want to learn or at least watch him explain that to you. It's probably beyond a 45-year-old, but this front lever is a little bit more accessible to me. I feel like I have fairly strong lats from years of pull-ups. And this motion, what we're trying to do is get our body to go parallel to the ground as we basically do a straight arm push down with our shoulders. So it's a lot of lat. There's definitely a lot of arm involvement in core, but especially this like straight arm push down type motion. Now I have to deload these if I'm going to get any kind of a hold. So what I usually do is I use a 1/2 inch jump stretch style band, tie to a handle. So I go over the handle, take the band through itself, and then cinch it on one side. The other side, I'm just going to bring it through the handle. Now, if I bring more through the handle, the band will be shorter, so it's going to be a heavier spot. If I do less through the handle, it's not going to help me as much. Being first set, different muscle group, I'm going to give myself some extra help. What I'm going to have to do these in the rings with a band is I'm going to have to fully invert, kind of take my one foot and get the band out of the way, and then with my feet on one side of the band and my head on the other, I'm going to lower to the band where it almost catches me to help me get the isometric hold. So that'll probably seem a little confusing, but it'll make sense when you see it. I've probably got 4 or 5 inches of band hanging over there. And this is a fairly new band, so this is a decent amount of help. Not a ton, but a fair amount. So I got about 3 sets into my front levers and realized that my camera wasn't recording. I think the battery died. It's just me here, no fancy camera crews, at least not yet. So I'm going to attempt to redo a few of these for you. I went through and did the 2 feet out in front. I did straddle, and I even started to do my single legs. I'm going to attempt to go back through these for you. And then at home, I'll figure out how far I got on the first video and try to blend these together. But you can tell by the time on the clock, it was just a few minutes. You're not missing much. All right, anyway, band goes over the handle. I'm going to set this up inverted, use my knee and foot, push the band out of the way, straighten out. Down slow, and try to hold. Set 1. Set 2 will go to straddle, which should make it a little bit lighter. Hopefully I can hold it at least as long, if not longer. Starting to feel everything else. I'm going to do 1 on each leg. 1 knee in, 1 leg out. Rest, other side. Last set. Probably a little more help on this one. I'm starting to really get fatigued. I want to try to ingrain a good movement pattern into my body, and to do a really heavy one that I only hold for 3 seconds isn't going to do me any good. So a little more help here. Do one with the right leg out, see how I do. Last set. Whew. Okay. Today is not normally a day I would work on muscle ups, but I have been starting to reintroduce them into my own program. So I'm going to do 1 set, 5 reps. The goal for me is to start out in basically like a hanging seated position, do a relatively strict ring muscle up from L-sit, extend the dip, straighten the legs, come back down out of it. 1 set, 3 to 5 reps. This is a 1 1/4 inch jump stretch band. It was really awkward to set up, so I almost have to jump up into it like a swing. You can really appreciate there's a bunch of help at the bottom, but then you're on your own from about halfway on, and again, the idea is not to overdo it, just to practice. One more. Okay, last one. I'm going to do hammer curl for a set of 5. Neutral grip chest press with the same weights for 10 to 15. 3 sets is a little burnout here, and we're going to be done for the day. First set with 40s. Not too bad. Hammer curls were better than the presses. The presses I expected to get 15 pretty quick, and I think my triceps a little bit tired from everything else, but still gonna go up. Second set we'll do 50s. I'm gonna plan on 5 hammers and 10 presses. Rest just about another minute. in there. Woo! One more set. About another minute. 60s. Try for 5 on hammer curl. Go for broke on the neutral grip chest press. Might even turn the palms out to a conventional chest press. Might even do a couple partials, but the goal is to burn out here. So we'll see. My son just came in. Come here, Sea Dog. Are you come over flex on me or what? Show him a front double bicep pose. Ready? Here. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, comment. We appreciate you.